I didn't realize it. There was-
Somebody's looking.
Okay.
That's missed it.
Renee.
Oh, very well.
Oh.
He knows more about this than I do.
Okay, go ahead.
We wanted to take the opportunity to be consistent with one of the commitments we made, I guess, 2 meetings ago, to try to get together at least once a month and give you current status, what we're working on, give you the opportunity to fire off any questions or express some concerns. And tonight we've got a whole host of our team members here to address any questions. I know you had a public meeting down in Napoleonville last week, and I was on vacation, Bruce had one. So we'd like to make ourselves available tonight for any questions. But I'd like to ask you, water withdrawal in an attempt to see if we could enhance gas production. We completed our testing on ORW 38, and we're in our 22nd day now on ORW 21. Results in 38 were pretty much negligible, no appreciable gas production. What we've seen in 21 is about 1,000 cubic feet over a 22-day period. That's probably negligible too. It's not really a volume of gas that you want to pursue with any kind of long-term plan. Now, we've got other wells that we're currently testing away from the community. We originally had a few that were behind this row of homes over here that we were going to go through the same process with, not quite as detailed, but at least a water withdrawal process to see if we could augment gas flow. We decided not to do that. There were concerns about the potential for subsidence, so we abandoned our plans to do those that are closest, but we moved further over onto our property toward the sinkhole, and that's a work in progress today. And I will tell you from preliminary results, we're still not seeing the kind of response that we had hoped to see, and the kind of response that we got from OGWR1, which is one of the very first relief wells that's over on our facility, where when we started pulling small amounts of water out of that well, we almost doubled the gas flow. And so that's really the reason that we're going through this series of tests, is to see if we can enhance gas flow from wells that have been marginal performers, or maybe even wells that have been good performers. By pulling a little bit of water out, we can enhance that flow. And once again, I'll reiterate our commitment to you all, is that we have no plans to come into the community and pull large volumes of water out that could induce subsidence on your properties. That remains our commitment. Okay. Now, I understand from comments made last week that there's still some interest in pursuing that. And we're certainly interested in doing it too, but we don't want to do it against your will, and we don't want to do it to the extent that we could damage your property. There's no sense in making a problem worse, trying to solve a problem. So that's our position, and we hold steady on that. So the testing continues. We'll have some results. I think I can tell you confidently now that preliminarily, we haven't from the wells that we pulled water from, we haven't seen anything similar to OGRW1. And in fact, most cases, we've seen no appreciable increase in gas. Okay. To go back to 38 and 21, no indication of subsidence resulting from the water volumes that we pulled out of the ground on those 2 wells. I think on 38 we pulled somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000, 60,000 gallons, and with 21 we will exceed that.
Oh yeah.
Because we're going for almost a whole month. Okay. BC2. BC2 has been kind of a mystery to us, but I wanted to give Charlie the opportunity to talk a little bit about its history, because it behaved strangely. This was one of the very first relief wells that was installed. Pressure monitor well, I'm sorry. And we were monitoring it. We had it trapped. We had it shut in. And for the longest time, it was giving us a pressure. And over the course of about a 4 or 5 day period, that pressure started to drop off. And then on one day, it just suddenly fell completely off. And what we we discovered was there was a small leak, small valve, and in the process of replacing that valve, it had to be opened up and depressured. And what's been perplexing about that well is ever since that happened, it hasn't regained any pressure. So it went from about 51 pounds down to about 3 pounds, and it's remained there. And that was sort of our inspiration. That and what we saw with bubble site 56, where we put a passive vent well in the water out there and for the most part killed the bubble site. Those two events were our inspiration for coming in and putting passive vent wells along the bayou and bubble sites to see if we could strategically go in and kill bubble sites. So I know there's been interest in it. Have I completed
Well,
the story?
you captured it. I mean, it was 55, 56 PSI early on, and then it was decreasing, over several months. And then when we were doing the ORW 38 dewatering test, we had, I think we replaced an instrument on the wellhead, and I had a little leak in that, and maybe a leak in the valve, but it was over a 1-day period, and so it basically went to zero, and so that's it in a nutshell.
That's where it remains. So,
Where is that one located?
DC2 is
1460 Sauce Pond, the Works property.
Near ORW 38,
I can't see the phone.
on the other side of the road.
And for the longest time, it was a well that we were all looking to. It was kind of like the beacon that was telling us whether we were making progress in depleting gas and knocking down pressures on the top of the MRA. Well, it turns out it must have been a pretty small volume of gas in there, because once it released, it just went away. So, like I said last time we met, strange, but still a good thing. It's a positive sign. Okay, so on the topic of passive vent wells, as you all know, we came into the community and we installed 4 new ones. No, converted 2 DPVE wells. We installed 3 new, and then we had the number 6 well, the sixth
Yeah.
well up at
Yeah.
both sites, 6. 2 of those 6 wells turned out to be productive. The one at bubble site 56 had success in killing the bubble site, at least initially. We think we still have some gas there, obviously, because you can shut the passive well in and a little bit of bubbling comes back. It's not in the same location, and we don't think it's of the same magnitude, but there's still some gas coming up through that well. When you shut it in, it comes back in the form of bubbles. When you open the well back up, the bubbling goes away. So it's really doing what it was intended to do, so we're not going to plug that well. But the others we're going to go ahead and plug. Okay, that one. And then passive vent well number 3, which is down in the neighborhood, and had a trace amount of biogenic H2S in it. It produced a little bit of gas, but essentially went away. So there's just not enough evidence to support the installation of additional passive vent wells. Certainly not in the community. So what we may do, and what we want to do, but it's currently on hold because we're still analyzing information from bubble site 56, is we want to come back and install some more, and like I said, go after specific bubble sites in the bayou and see if we can kill them, similar to what happened at 56. So that's a work in progress. So to wrap up the whole passive vent wells, you can look for activity going on this week, and we'll probably be finished by this time next week. We'll have all of the wells plugged except for the one over at bubble site 56. Okay. Now here's another perplexing situation. Oxygeismer 3A, the reentry well. For the last month, certainly the last 2 times we've been together, we talked about the tagging of sediment in the cavern and its proximity to the roof of the cavern. Of course, we were pretty excited about that. That's a good thing. We're close to completion. I mean, at least the cavern is almost full, 95, 99% full. Last Friday, we went in and did our routine 2-week frequency logging and tagged 350 feet deeper. So now we suspect that either there was some kind of massive movement, which seems highly unlikely because there wasn't any indication on any of the seismic instruments that that volume of material moved. But it is still a possibility. Second possibility is we've been wrong in our tagging up near the roof. Throughout this entire event where we've gone in and tagged, we've recognized that it's been extremely difficult to drop a tool down in that material and hit something and say, okay, that's the top of the material. And I think part of the reason is it's been very dynamic, it's been mixed up and stirred up. And I think when it gets in that condition, the liquid component above the sediment slurries up and becomes almost like a thick mud. I think there's also the possibility that there are suspended debris clusters that might be allowing a tool to sit down. So basically what this situation confirms is that our ability to go in and tag fill is still questionable. It's never been absolute.
What's the pressure in the well?
Pressure is
In
currently
the cavern?
trending back up. I can't tell you the casing seat pressure, I don't have it off the top of my head, but from the crowd log, what was the casing seat pressure? Does anybody know? It would be in Ryan's email.
1945.
1945, yeah.
1940.
Which is down a little bit and not quite as high as it
So it's
was.
1945 PSI.
Right, at the approximate elevation of the casing seat, which still puts it below 0.8 PSI grade.
So the weight is going by means of a cable down through 1,900 plus pounds.
Right,
That, of course, says it's gotta go through some kind of packing.
right.
Is the cable could the cable be getting at different times, with different operators, get hung up on the packing?
You're asking the same questions that we've asked of our vendors, and we have two, Petroleum Engineer, and of course Joel Warnke, Dr. Warnke, he's kind of led that process. When this came up Friday, he was covered up with emails from all of us asking those type of questions. And certainly that's a possibility. It could be something as simple as an inexperienced operator on the wireline crew that didn't have past experience. But from what I understand, it's a delicate process. It's a matter of dropping the tool down and watching the weight indicator. And as you roll out more wireline, your weight goes up. And then when you land on something where the tool stops, the rate of increase will stop, or it will slow down. And then you spool off a little bit more wire, and then you start to roll it back up, and you look for the point where the weight indicator jumps up, because now it's picking the tool back up. And what they do is they'll drop into the well, they'll measure, they'll zero in on the casing seat and correct their depth and make sure they know where the tool is. And then they'll go down and make 3, 4, maybe 5 attempts to go down and lose weight on the tool. And then they take those depths and they take an average of it and say, that's where the bottom is. It's one of those